Hello and welcome to this edition of Tigunia's TipTok. Today we're going to be talking about using the fixed asset system to amortize prepaid expenses. A couple of weeks ago we released a video talking about how to use Business Central's deferral functionality to basically amortize those prepaid expenses or prepaid liabilities, that kind of thing. But this time we're going to be talking about using the fixed asset system to do that. There are some benefits to that. As you will recall from that previous video, whenever you use the deferral functionality, if you're going out multiple periods and posting transactions, you actually have to open up all those transactions because the system is going to post all of the amortization entries for the life of that charge. And you may not want to do that. So this gives you an opportunity to have a little bit better control over that by using the fixed asset system to be able to do that. Fixed asset system, not just for fixed assets, but it can also be used to basically amortize any expense that you want to. So we're going to talk about how to set that up. The first thing you might want to do in this case is we're going to do a different number series for the deferred transactions. So we're going to open up our number series table. And in addition to the fixed asset line, which is right here, which is how our fixed assets are being numbered, we also have another line here called deferred expenses. And so this way we can give our deferred expense assets a different number series or a different fixed asset number so we can keep better control of them. The other thing that we did is that when you open the fixed asset and create a new fixed asset, you want to be able to select the deferred expense option on there so it gives that number. So in order to do that, we had to create a relationship between the two. So if we go ahead and select on the fixed asset line and then come up to navigate in relationships, you'll see that we set up deferred expense as a related number series to the FA, and I'll show you in a minute how that manifests itself. The other thing that we have to do is set up the fixed asset posting groups. So if we go ahead and set up the fixed asset posting groups, this allows us to capture that deferred expense onto the balance sheet and also set the account that you want to amortize it to. So in this case, we've set up a couple of them. I'm going to use this one called life insurance. As you can see in the acquisition cost and the depreciation, accumulated depreciation, we've set an account which is not a fixed asset account. This 1061 arrow is actually a deferred expenses account on the balance sheet. So that's the account that's going to capture all of those balances. And the depreciation expense account is the GL account, the expense account that we want to charge that revenue to. So in this case, we're going to use life insurance. The scenario here is that at the beginning of the year, we pay a life insurance bill for the entire year, and we're going to amortize it at basically $1,000 a month. So we're going to make a $12,000 payment and then amortize it or depreciate the fixed asset over the life of that deferral. So with that being said, we're going to go over to fixed assets. And we're going to create a new fixed asset. So I'm going to create new. Now, instead of just tabbing through the number series column, I'm going to go ahead and click on the button with the three dots over here. And when I do that, you'll see that I have the option of either using the fixed asset number series or using the deferred expense one. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the deferred expense one and hit OK. And when it does that, then it uses that number series for the deferred expenses instead of my normal fixed assets. That way, it's a good way of being able to keep the fixed asset, the true fixed assets, and your deferrals separated from one another. Then we're just going to go and put in any kind of description that you want. We don't necessarily need to have the fixed asset class or subclass, but we are going to come down here to the depreciation books. We're going to set that as company. You can use the same depreciation book as you use for your fixed assets. But in the posting group here, we want to make sure that we select that life insurance posting group. That way all accounts set right. This is going to be straight lined. We're going to start this on January 1st of 2021. And we're going to have it for 1 year. And you can see that the depreciation pre-populates. That's all we need to do to set up the fixed asset card. If you've worked with fixed assets before, you know you need to set up the card first before you can actually pay or put money on the account. So with that set up, we're going to close out the fixed assets. We're just going to open up a purchase invoice. and we're going to go ahead and create a purchase invoice to pay the annual fee for that life insurance. And so we're going to use, we'll just use this property management company. We're going to set up our posting date for the first of the year when we're actually paying that, and then that's the 2021 life is our vendor number. In this case, down on the lines, we're going to select fixed asset because we're actually paying or charging a fixed asset, and then that new fixed asset number that we created, and then our amount, and we'll make sure that there's no tax on that. So now that we have that $12,000 charge, we can go ahead and post that invoice. We'll say yes. It's actually created it now. If we go back to our fixed asset, and we open up that fixed asset that we created, you'll see that if I click on add more depreciation books, you'll see that now I've got my company depreciation going to the right posting group starting on January 1st, and I've got a book value now of $12,000. So now at the end of every month, you can go ahead and run the calculate depreciation function. So as we calculate depreciation, you can calculate the depreciation just like you would for your regular fixed assets. We're going to set this to January 1st, 31 because we're in January, we're closing January, and this is going to be January insurance. And life insurance, amortization, whatever the description that you want. We're only going to do it for that one. In this case, we're only going to do it for the one asset. You could do it for multiple assets if you wanted to, however you wanted to structure that, but we're going to just do the one. We'll go ahead and click OK. It created the journal. We click yes to open the journal, and you can see we've got that line in there where we're setting $1,000 worth of depreciation, and then and that's being posted to the GL account, and then we're setting up the depreciation, so we can go ahead and post that. So that one's okay, and you're basically done for the month. If you wanted to do another month's depreciation, or at the end of February, you can go ahead and run the depreciation again. In this case, it's going to be 02/28/21. This is going to be February's insurance for that asset again. We can go ahead and run that. It's run the series. You can see another $1,000, and it's basically run that amortization, and go ahead and post that. Now, if we take a look at our GL, we'll kind of close some of these windows. We'll go to our chart of accounts. You can see in the chart of accounts for that 1061 error, that deferred expenses account, we've got a balance of $10,000, which is basically the $12,000 that we originally captured plus a couple of months of depreciation or amortization of that expense. And if we go down to the expense account that we were using, that 61101, you'll see we've got $2,000 worth of expense, which is the two amortizations, the 2 monthly amortizations. So every month you can kind of go through and post that amortization. It's really nice in there to be able to see that and control it month by month instead of having all of it posted at once. If you need to take a look at the balance at any given point in time, just from your fixed asset list, you can go to reports. And if you go, actually, if we go to these reports over here and look at the book value report, we can run that book value report starting at 12/31 and going through 12/31/21. We do want to group totals by posting group, and that's a good way to do it, just so that you can look at the different posting groups. We want to print per fixed asset, and we can go ahead and select multiples. You can use wildcards in here, but if you select the preview at any given point in time, it'll basically show you what your depreciation looks like. So in this case, you'll see we've got a good report that's showing that we had 0 at the beginning. We acquired a 12,000. We've got 2,000 in depreciation so far, and we can see the book value. So it gives you a little bit better way of reporting out that, so you can see what your balance is, this book value should tie back to that 10610 account so that you can use that to balance and see the detail of what's going into that account. It's hard to look at that detail using the deferral method, the old method, but within the fixed asset group and using that method, it's a little bit easier to reconcile the balances at the end of any particular month. So just another way of being able to handle the deferrals, the deferral functionality by using the fixed asset system to amortize prepaid expenses. Once again, as I mentioned before, one of the pitfalls there is it's only for expenses, not for deferred revenues. But there's a lot of additional benefits otherwise on using this. So the fixed asset system, even though you may not be using it for fixed assets, is a great function to use for other areas that you might need to use if you want to spread costs over multiple periods. So hopefully this gives you some ideas, additional ideas that you can use with your version of Business Central. If you have any questions about this or any other topic, go ahead and reach out to us here at Tigunia at connect@tigunia.com, and we'll be glad to help answer any questions that you may have. Also, just a reminder to go ahead and subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button, and also click on the bell icon so you can be notified of any future videos. Have a good day. Talk to you later.